Alright, welcome back to another edition of the Stoneforge Trials, where we are trying to find the best home for a Stoneforge Mystic package in Modern. Today we are going to be revisiting the Mardu colors, although with a very different take on it. Last time I tried out Mardu, we tried an old sort of Mardu Pyromancer shell. Of course, Mardu Pyromancer has changed significantly since Faithless Looting was banned, and we tried to keep the young Pyromancers in and tried to stick with a bit of that theme. It ended up not working out so well in our favor. But we're back again to try Mardu out. We've got a much more mid-rangey build here. I've got some Planeswalkers in here, Dark Confidants, Croxas. This is a card that I have not had a chance to play with yet, so I'm looking forward to that. Should be fun. Seasoned Pyromancer, I think. Just a great card. Overall, I took this deck from a Reddit user. I'll actually pull up their name real quick just to be able to give them credit. Just give me one moment. I do want to be able to give credit to people when I use their lists. This is from Reddit user ThemOZ, who posted a Mardu Stoneforge list. I'm not sure if this is them that created or played this list, but they are the one that pointed me to it. So all credit to them for this list. I did make a couple sideboard changes, but by and large we are playing the same deck. I'm kind of surprised by the lack of Lingering Souls in this deck. I feel like Lingering Souls is just a hugely synergistic card with Stoneforge Mystic, and I think it's just a solid card overall in Modern. But I'm taking the deck list as it was, so that is the reason there is no Lingering Souls. Certainly, anytime I'm brewing up a deck that has black and white in it, we will definitely be including that card. I've been told it's not in a great place in Modern, but I think especially in a Stoneforge deck, it's pretty much exactly where we want to be. But we shall see. For the time being, we are playing Mardu Midrange here in Modern. Apologies that I'm not going to be able to have these matches on stream, or at least right now. My internet is being strange, as it sometimes is. My download speed is fine, my upload speed is absolute trash. It's still enough to play a game of Magic online, but not able to actually stream this. So I'm recording it, and I will post it to my YouTube sometime, which is presumably where you'll be watching this. I also hope that the audio is doing okay. I have a couple fans on because it is quite hot still. We're almost done with the summer here in Northeast USA, but still rather hot tonight. And here we are for round one. We'll get to be on the play, which is great. Only one land, unfortunately, and a pair of Stoneforge Mystics with a Batter Skull already in our hand. We'll be able to strip our opponent's hand away pretty efficiently, but not really doing too much else. So I think this hand is going to have to be a mulligan. Unfortunately, this hand is also quite bad. We're going to have to go to 5, unfortunately. This hand will certainly be keepable. I think we're going to have to throw back... I think we can afford to throw back one land and maybe one path. The other option is the Lily, since we're throwing a land back. I think the land is definitely going to be silent clearing. I think it's either going to be the path or the Lily. I'd really like to keep the Lily. The only thing holding me back is that we only have the 2 lands, but I think this will be fine for now. We'll also have Inquisition to hopefully shore up any reason that we would have wanted to have the path. We'll see what our opponent is on. Looks like some sort of Uro pile. I will definitely be taking Wrenn and 6 here. Card will just generate an obscene amount of value over some time. Fortunately, our opponent is going to have a Lightning Bolt for the Stoneforge Mystic, and it looks like we are some sort of scape-shifty ramp deck. So we'll see what exactly that means. Interesting question of what land to fetch here. We kind of need to be getting a red but we also want to be getting a double black here. Are there any other considerations? I think it's going to have to be... We have a lot of good double red card. Well, Seasoned Pyromancer is a really strong double red card. We're going to need another land to hit that anyway, so I think we can go ahead and get the Sacred Foundry. Or rather, the Godless Shrine, because we do already have one swamp. And we'll go ahead and search out, I guess, a Batterskull. Neither equipment is particularly good here because our opponent is just going to be able to bolt down the Stoneforge Mystic. But Sword would require us to be getting a creature into play, which is looking like we are going to have some difficulty doing. Opponents use Lightning Bolt, Misty Rainforest. Fortunately, not able to do too much from here. We'll be able to hold up and eliminate. There's also some dyssynergy here, which I've noticed a couple times in previous iterations of these Stoneforge Trials, of the kind of anti-dyssynergy between Liliana and Batterskull. Often we'll get a Batterskull into our hand and we'll have a hard time casting it, so it'll kind of stick around in our hand. But Lily is encouraging us to empty our hand. So often we're just going to be getting a batter. If the Stoneforge fetches a Batterskull and dies, then often we're just going to end up discarding that Batterskull to Liliana. So I think that is... I think that we are going to be pretty strongly disincentivized to put Liliana in our Stoneforge decks from here on out. There's definitely a bit of deck building I should keep in mind. For the time being, I think we can discard this Fatal Push. I don't think our opponent is going to be playing too many cheap creatures. It can, in theory, hit an Uro, but for the moment, we at least have that covered with the Eliminate. Opponent going to be able to escape the Uro. We are still missing red mana, which highly unfortunate. There is our red mana. I think we'll just be able to Edict for now. Keep the Uro off the battlefield. And keep the Batterskull in our hand. Also hang on to the Eliminate for perhaps another time around. Opponent has the Bolt to finish off the Lily. I believe that we have now seen this. Our opponent might still be holding a Misty Rainforest. I think we already checked one off, so maybe they had another one. I'm not sure. Looks like our opponent might be able to escape the Uro again this turn. Discarding a Growth Spile and a Cryptic Command. Those are some pretty solid discards. It's a bit surprising to me. I mean, I think our opponent making this play just because they want to make sure that they can be discarding or be escaping the Uro this turn. But still, discarding those two cards in particular is still pretty surprising to me. Two Misties in the graveyard, so I think they did play that. Still need to be worried about the Scape Shift, I guess. Presumably our opponent will be able to largely just kill us. For now, we'll go ahead and nip the Uro and hang on to this Lightning Bolt. Opponent apparently not having much to be doing here. Here's an Arid Mesa. We'll be able to go ahead and... This can just get a basic mountain. And we've got a Batterskull. Maybe. Looks like this might be getting Cryptic commanded. That makes sense. opponent with no land to put into place. They're still on 6 lands. They need 7 to be able to theoretically kill us with Escape Shift. This looks like it might just be Escape Shift. So presumably they are going to have the requisite Valakuts and Mountains to deal us lethal damage. But we'll make them show it to us. That looks like a Valakut and 6 Mountains. Okay. Do we want pillages against the land deck? I think we're going to want these spell bombs. I think Ashiok seems like a solid card. And pillages may be a bit unnecessary here. I think we're going to need fatal pushes. Don't think the lightning bolts are going to be doing too much. Actually not sure the lightning helixes are going to do too much, so maybe we can bring in... Maybe we can bring in the pillage over like lightning helix, and maybe just bring in 2 pillage. Seems okay. I don't think we want damping spheres. Lightning helix seems bad. No anger, no path, no push. We do want a little bit of path for the arrows, but a lot of this removals doesn't seem like where we want to be at. Alright, we'll try this again. We were on a mold of 5 there, so definitely some things that can be improved. This looks like a solid hand. Bit awkward that we're starting with a sword in hand. Maybe should have led on Bloodstained Mire. This tapped Steam Vents is indicating to me that our opponent does not have Bolt in hand. So I'm going to go ahead and play out this Dark Confidant in hopes of it surviving. Appears that our opponent either top-decked a Lightning Bolt or just kind of out-leveled us. One way or the other. We're definitely playing this land. I think I could be happy pillaging a land here. If we set our opponent back a bit, that's fine with me. We're going to want to get a Sacred Foundry here. Let's try to set our opponent back here a bit. Looks like they might be out of green mana, which would be pretty nice. We'll go ahead and see what you have in your hand. Plenty of lands, but no green mana to speak of. And no removal spell for a Stoneforge. So we'll strand you with some uncastable cards. And which one is more important to get down, a Dark Confidant or a Stoneforge Mystic? I think we are the beatdown in this situation, so I think we want to try to get a Batter Skull in play ASAP. I think even if we get a Dark Confidant in play and manage to protect it, I think that we are still ultimately losing the long game there. I don't think we're going to be able to beat our opponent on card advantage. I think we can just go ahead and cast the Inquisition here. We might just nab a Growth Spiral. We are instead going to get a Remand, which I think is pretty solid. And we're just going to pass because we're going to put this Batter Skull into play. Opponent found a Ketria Triumph, so they are going to be able to start casting their Growth Spirals. We have a Batter Skull, and if we hit a land, we'll be able to put this sword in and equip the sword. We did not, but what do we want to do here? Definitely attacking with both of these creatures. So we've got 5 power in play. We could put 4 more power in play to make it a 2-turn clock. I think I like that. think I like that. And I think we'll discard... Let's try and get our opponent dead here. I think the sword is most likely to make a difference there, although it is really tempting to keep the Gideon. I think we're definitely pitching the Dark Confidant. And there's just no guarantee we're going to be able to cast this Gideon. Although if we're not casting the Gideon, we're casting spells we're drawing. I'm going to pitch the Gideon. This is all fine. Opponent, I think, a ways off being able to do much of anything here. They're going to be able to Sanctuary a card back to the top of their deck, but I don't think that's going to matter too much. They're going to put a Growth Spiral back. That strikes me as a surprising choice. Are they just going to be able to scape shift us here? So we are swinging for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's going to effectively add 4 to 13. Only has 1 green, so they can't even scape shift. I think I'm just putting a sword in and equipping the sword to the germ token so I gain an extra 2 life. I don't think anything else we're doing here is relevant. Hit you. Keeps it above 18, but I don't think the 26 is relevant. Although it's not clear to me how this works because they have 2 Valakuts in play already. This is also like they still need another green to escape shift, and they just tap their other green to Growth Spiral. I'm just trying to figure out what the... I was trying to find a line where them putting Growth Spiral on top made any sense, because it didn't seem like that line made sense to me. But anyway. Okay. Do I want to change anything? Don't think I really saw anything that would make me want to change anything. I kind of want a Timely to stay at a decent life total against the deck that can kill us from 18, but I don't think that's where we want to be at. Sounds okay. We'll Inquisition on 1 and hopefully protect our Dark Confidant, although again that's not exactly the game we want to be playing, but I think there's enough stuff going on here that this is still a fine keep. Okay. Opponent with a couple of things going on here. Don't feel like I'm too worried about this Brazen Borrower. I think I really just want to slow our opponent down, so I think we're going to take this Growth Spiral. Brazen Borrower, I mean, maybe we can hold off our Dark Confidant for a turn, but... well, I don't know, maybe that was the better pick? It's kind of hard to say. We're just going to be able to Inquisition again. It's going to keep our Dark Confidant down for a turn. But I guess this is actually still fine. Ooh, our opponent found a Wrenn and 6 that they chose not to cast. No, they had an island in play last turn, so they couldn't have cast it anyway. They instead decided to leave up Petty Theft. But I think we're definitely going to take this Wrenn and 6. There's just way too much value that they can get from that. It also kills our Dark Confidant. Just go ahead and play on Marsh Flats and pass. I think our opponent, I think I dismissed a card, an extra card that they have. Get a Triome here. And unfortunately, we can't cast anything here besides the Dark Confidant, which I expect to get petty thefted here. Yep, you got it. That'll be a threat we'll have to worry about in a little bit. Pathing against the Scapeshift deck is pretty awkward here, but too much we can do. Opponent still with a Valakut in hand. And us still not getting too much traction. Okay, our opponent with an Uro. It's pretty much not what we want to see. Though it looks like our Dark Confidant will get to hang around. And no land. That is pretty much exactly not what we wanted to see. Guess we're just going to go ahead and play another Bob. And hope this works out somehow. Ashiok would be good. Opponent is going to be able to escape the arrow now. At least we have an answer to that. That's still pretty unfortunate. I'd really like to have an Ashiok out to make sure our opponent can't escape shift us. But maybe that's just not something we can afford to be doing here. We are going to be able to get some cards off Bob, so that's good. Is there any way I can cast the Ashiok here? No, because it's just going to die to the arrow, so I think this is just going to be a path and a pass, I guess. That's really bad. Maybe Liliana Edict is better? Yeah, I actually think Liliana Edict is going to end up being better. I'll have plenty of cards to be able to discard this Liliana, and we can maybe rip our opponent's hand apart a bit. If we get remanded here, that's pretty bad. Looks like that might be what's about to happen. We would have the same thing happen with the path, though, because we only have the 1 white mana. So we're going to get got either way. Can safely discard one of our 3 paths, and I'm not really liking the look of this. Opponent getting an attack step in with the arrow is never a good sign. I think what we want is a land here, so we can go Path and Ashiok. Though maybe we just can't afford to worry about the Scape Shift. Also, we need to worry about this Dark Confidant at some point. Yeah, I mean, this path pretty much has to happen. And our opponent with the remand. I guess we can try to hit an untapped white source here. It's not an untapped white source. Okay, I guess now we have to block with the Dark Confidant. Opponent can just be casting a 3/1 here, which is pretty bad. I think Pillage is not likely to be useful. And we just got beaten up pretty badly by our lands here. If we hit untapped white source, in theory we can go path. I guess we can even go path Lily. That Escape Shift will just kill us. So that was match 1. Getting betrayed a little bit by our lands, getting stuck on 2. It's unfortunate. Stoneforge doing okay, I think, again, like I mentioned, just kind of seeing some of the anti-synergy between Liliana the Veil and Stoneforge Mystic. This might just mean we need to pivot towards searching up a sword more often, rather than Liliana. But Stoneforge was very useful in closing out that game too pretty quickly. getting a Battle Scroll and a Sword out, letting us hit our opponent for a decent amount pretty quickly, and also gaining some life, so we can stay above that 18 threshold. That is important against Scapeshift decks. In any event, we'll go on to round 2. This hand seems fine. Several cheap plays, a Cruxa for later. We will go ahead and lead off on Inquisition. All right. Our opponent is on 8 rack, it appears. That's going to be a bit of a challenge. Not going to be able to do anything about this other Shrieking Affliction. Scratch that. We will be able to do something about this other Shrieking Affliction. As long as we can keep our opponent from killing us too quickly, we should be able to eventually find some card that'll do something. Yes, they will be able to make us discard quite a few cards, but any top deck from us can be quite powerful. So, excellent top deck there with the Thoughtseize. They're gonna have a Fatal Push for our first play. So Stoneforge is mostly just gonna be good because it's gonna draw us a card. We wanna keep our hand as full as we can. So just being able to draw a card there is gonna be useful. That's fine. We'll discard a Lightning Bolt. Don't really need that. Debatably, we could have just been discarding the Cruxa because it's going to escape anyway, but Lightning Bolt's also not really doing anything in this matchup. I will want to save 1, ideally, to try to attack this Mutavault if it ever attacks. For the time being, though, I definitely don't need 2. This is going to be a Stoneforge Mystic, and we're going to search up... I mean, this is definitely getting pushed. So I think I just get the thing I'm most likely to play, which I think is the Sword. Not that I think it's particularly likely to get played, but the Battle Scroll would just definitely be ending up in our graveyard. Which would still be fine. Just having a card in your hand is valuable against 8 rack. Yep. Our opponent, I believe, still with another Mutavault in play. Now I don't believe we know any of their hand. It could have been getting in for here for 2. It's kind of interesting they chose not to do that. I think this is going to be Seasoned Pyromancer discarding Bolt Cruxa. We have double red, double black. So I think this is just going to be a mountain. This is going to discard Bolt Cruxa. We'll have some very useful creatures in play that can carry a sword. And I think we'll be on our way to winning this one. Wrench Mind. I think we actually want this sword, so we're gonna keep the sword. This sword is gonna draw us a card every turn. It's gonna be very strong. And we are very fortunate that our opponent has not found another rack or rack equivalent. We're not going to attack because our opponent has Mutavault up. And we're going to hold the Black Cliffs up because Well, maybe we should have played the Black Leaf Cliffs because that represents escaping the Croxa. It's interesting. That may have been a mistake. I still think we're in a very good position here. That is a batter skull. Well, we're going to go ahead and equip this Seasoned Pyromancer. Our opponent can double block with Mutavault. I think that they are... Well, do they want to do that? I'm not too sure. Drew a Lily. I think Lily is something we can pretty safely discard. Just gonna play another card to have Croxa up. Or play this Black Leaf Cliff to have Croxa up. Lily definitely something we're gonna be siding out. Discard this Batter Skull. Don't even think I want to cast this Liliana. I don't really want to be discarding cards, even if I'm making my opponent discard cards. It's not too much what we're doing here. Next I can go ahead and hit with this Seasoned Pyromancer first. It's a little interesting our opponent doesn't want to be chump blocking here. I feel like they don't want us to be drawing cards. Red, red, black, black. Apparently I can't tap mana correctly. Red, black, black, red. Exile, I don't think it really matters. Here's a Croxa. And we will go to the sideboard. Yeah, so these Lilianas are definitely coming out. I like some discard, but I think the only thing it's really doing is it's hitting Racks and Shrieking Afflictions on turn 1. I'm actually not too sure what we want here. A lot of things don't feel very good. I think mostly we just want cheap things since our opponent... Yeah, I think we just want cheap things. Maybe the Thoughtseizes are actually okay. I don't think we don't need pushes. Probably don't even need the paths. I don't think we need... Eliminate can hit Lily. I think Lightning Helix is actually kind of okay. And maybe one Pillage. Is Pillage actually better than all this? Maybe. Is there anything terrible here? Path is pretty bad. Path can hit Mutavault, that's about it. Do I want Ashiok here? Ashiok exiles Raven's Crime. Costs 3 mana though. I don't think we want that. These are the Nihil Spellbombs that can maybe keep a Raven's Crime in check. It's also just a cheap card, it'll draw us a card. Maybe. This hand has 2 Stormforges and equipment, which is not ideal, but... Gideon is pretty close to a mulligan. Can we do better? We don't really have anything here that's good in the matchup, but we don't have a lot that's good in the matchup anyway. I think we'll keep this off the back of Dark Confidant. I think we'll lead off on Stoneforge Mystic to hopefully bait out a removal spell and then play the Dark Confidant on turn 3. Hopefully that'll pull us out ahead. Of course, we could also lose pretty hard to double Fatal Push. Opponent has Mull to 6. Shrieking Affliction. You got it. This is going to fetch. We want actually a second white because Gideon, and I think probably second red for Seasoned Pyromancer. So this is going to be a Sacred Foundry. Go ahead and get the Batter Skull. We'll be very happy if the Stoneforge lives, but I don't expect it to. I wonder if actually playing out second Stoneforge is better than playing out Dark Confidant. I actually kind of want to keep the sword because it's something we can discard to Shrieking Affliction. I guess the Spellbomb is also something we can discard to Shrieking Affliction. So I think we can go ahead and discard the sword. Discard that, sacrifice this, and sacrifice our Sacred Foundry. At this point, getting to Gideon seems pretty optimistic, so I think that'll be one of our next discards. Not hitting land there was quite bad. Smallpox getting us. Our opponent playing Snow-Covered Swamps. I think that's almost certainly just a fake out. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and exile your graveyard. Hope to hit a land. That is a land. Opponent not seeming to have too much going on. There's their second black. I think that'll probably let them do a Liliana, okay. That's going to make things hard because our opponent's going to have 2 creatures covered. Maybe given that we actually wanted to keep the Gideon. We have nothing to search for, so we won't bother. But this Stoneforge can get edicted. The next Stoneforge can get edicted also, although our opponent might choose to discard anyway. Can also just have a Fatal Push so they can keep ticking up the Liliana. Opponent is now empty-handed at least, so that's something. Now they can start getting it with Mutavault as well. Really, what we want here are lands. Like Seasoned Pyromancer would be an amazing play. I think we discard. I think this has to be the Stoneforge. I think. Well, actually, I guess it's probably the Chandra. Yeah, we're playing. If we're getting to 4 lands, we're getting to 3, and if we're getting 3, we're playing the Seasoned Pyromancer. If we're playing the Seasoned Pyromancer, we're probably discarding the Chandra. Although I guess it's possible we play the Seasoned Pyromancer and discard Stoneforge Batter Skull. There's no real point to keeping one of these cards unless you keep both. Don't know that it really matters which one of these we play. I think they're both just going to get Liliana'd, and they're both very powerful if they live. Really, I think we're just holding on here for second red source. Third land, second red source. I think that's how we get back in this game. Can now discard the Batter Skull to whatever our opponent comes up with. This Dark Confidant is a lot less good now that we're getting beaten down by Mutavaults. I guess the Dark Confidant will trade with the Mutavault, presumably. Don't think we're going to end up casting that Thoughtseize. You also need to keep in mind that there is a Shrieking Affliction on our opponent's side. I still think we're very much in this if we hit Mountain or some other red source. Because it's going to put a lot of power and toughness into play across 3 creatures, so Liliana not going to be effective against that. Still gonna have some work to do after that, but it's definitely the first step. That is a rack. That's not good. We'll discard this Thoughtseize. It's not doing too much for us. Come on, Mountain. Mountain. It'll be 0 damage. Thank you very much. Nope. We don't even cast that because we want cards in our hand. Okay, well, we have an artifact. Still gonna go down to 2 cards. So this is gonna put us to 7. The rack is gonna put us to 6. Power will leave 2 cards in our hand, but then we'll go down to 1. Then we'll take 3 and 2. We're pretty much dead even if we hit the red source, and yeah, that's... yeah, because we're going to go to 2 cards in hand, but our opponent's going to make us discard 1, and Shrieking Affliction goes off, so we'll just go ahead and concede that there. Alright, did anything change? Pushes for Mutavaults, maybe. It's probably actually strictly better than Path, right? Because there's just no creatures over there. Anger, Pillage. I mean, Pillage does hit a Mutavault before it gets animated. But I think we're fine with all this. Maybe we would cut a Planeswalker because they're expensive and hard to get to, but I think this is still fine. I think this is fine. We can try to strip a rack on turn 1. We don't have double red for the Pillage or the Pyromancer, unfortunately, but I think this is still fine. It's very possible that we will... So I'd really like to hit a rack or a Shrieking Affliction because we don't have main deck answers to those. But if we're able to take, like, say our opponent's only removal spell and be able to protect Dark Confidant, we might go with that. Our opponent's going to have double Thoughtseize, so we're both going to strip each other's hands. And I think the rack is just what we're going to take here, unless it's an Ashiok. I mean, if our opponent only had the 1 Thoughtseize, I might take Thoughtseize to protect our Dark Confidant, but at this point I think we just kind of have to accept that we're going to trade resources, and... Is there any way we take the Ashiok? Ashiok doesn't really even do that much, honestly. Turns off our fetch lands, but I think that's not a big deal. Opponent found an Inquisition. So we have another Thoughtseize in hand. I did that incorrectly. Fortunately, our opponent's going to be able to nab our Seasoned Pyromancer. Despite us hitting the second red. They might take the Pillage too. Or they might sit on it for a little while. Nope, they're going to Thoughtseize the Pillage. So, we're basically on 0 resources apiece. Let's go ahead and play the sword, because got it. Was that correct, or are we supposed to just hold the sword? It's actually kind of an interesting question. Is it going to make any creature we're able to stick significantly more powerful now? Opponent cycling an Urborg out of their hand to cast the Ashiok. Don't care too much about that. Makes Croxabad. I guess it's such off like Stoneforges. Keep track of what we're losing here. Like if our Batterskull goes away, that's relevant to know. I guess I actually want to draw. Do I want to draw now? It's actually an interesting question because if like we draw a creature, we want to play it now, but if it's a spell that we can't cast yet, we want to wait until we can. We don't want it in hand when our opponent will be able to make us discard it. I think I'm gonna err on the side of waiting. Our opponent has one card in hand. I don't think I know what it is. But I should... I was thinking about cracking this now in case I drew, like, Fatal Push. Okay, I guess I can cast this Thoughtseize. Ooh, Dark Confidant. Again, like, not clear that I want to be casting this Thoughtseize. Dark Confidant is also a little scary. Sorry about that. Because we are taking 2 a turn in this Mutavault. So if we hit some scary things, it is possible that we're going to die to this Dark Confidant, but that's just sort of part of playing with Dark Confidant. We're definitely not blocking here. We hit a 1. Okay. Just gonna equip here and get in. And do we want to be hitting our opponent here? I don't really think we do. We'll just draw the card. Seasoned Pyromancer. Yeah, we need to actually think about what we're casting here. I'm not actually sure it makes sense to cast any of this. I think I'll play the Marsh Flats because it's possible that I'll go like Pyromancer equip to something maybe. I don't think it makes sense to cast a Spell Bomb. I don't think I'm casting a Star Confidant. That way I have things to discard to the Seasoned Pyromancer, so I think I can afford to play a Marsh Flats. Actually, playing the Dark Confidant as a blocker here is pretty defensible. This is a very interesting turn. That's something you could definitely go back and dissect a lot. No attacks with the Mutavault this turn. Two lands. Okay, well we can thank our opponent's Mutavault for making these fetch lands into swamps. Okay, our opponent's gonna chump here, it looks like. That's fine, that's fine. We'll go ahead and cash in these relatively useless cards. And we are now representing lethal next turn. Fortunately, we not keep up red to cast this lightning bolt. Yeah, sure. You got my lightning bolt. I can't fetch. I can't fetch with the Bloodstained Mire to be able to cast it. But that is fine. We will take the win against 8 rack. Go to 1-1. Stoneforge package actually coming in pretty useful there. It's really sped up our clock when we had the Dark Confidant. Normally we would just be attacking with a Dark Confidant for 2 a turn, and actually also getting held off by a Mutavault, but they were able to hit in for 6 a turn, which dramatically sped up our clock and was very useful. This is a hand I could consider keeping depending on the matchup. We have Disruption to a Stoneforge Mystic, and the number of lands we have means that getting a Batterskull could be fine anyway, but I really hesitant to keep a 5-land hand. Like if one of these was a Silent Clearing or something, I don't know, maybe you are just supposed to keep hands like this. I'll give it a try. We're on the play, so we'll be able to hopefully get out ahead of our opponent. And if not, we still got a couple draw steps to find something more relevant to be doing. Okay, looks like not taxes, just death and taxes. Probably Aether Vial is going to be the best card here, and our opponent also on a 1-land hand, so it could definitely get stalled out for a while. So not even any white mana in our opponent's hand, so this could just be a pretty fortunate game for us. In any event, I think our Batterskull will probably be pretty safe here. Maybe should have not played a land that doesn't cast Kroxa, but I think we'll be fine. Our opponent did find a Plains, okay. We're playing Magic. If the opponent is able to find another Plains, then they're going to be able to Flicker Wisp our Germ Token, which is going to be pretty effective. So that part's, ooh, wow. That is pretty unfortunate. Our opponent has drawn out of their screw pretty effectively. Should definitely not be attacking because they know we have a Batterskull, although maybe they're interested in just kind of forcing us to put this into play so they can Flicker Wisp away the Germ Token. Those Flicker Wisps are going to be pretty annoying. And we're actually not going to be able to effectively attack because our opponent has 5 power of First Strike in play. So that's pretty irritating. And we'll still put this into play. But, things could get pretty annoying here. I guess it's just going to be a Kroxa and pass. I think it was a mistake. I think I actually wanted to play these fetch lands to get closer to escaping Kroxa. I don't think it's going to end up making a difference, but in principle, I really should have done that. Next time I will be able to put Batterskull onto Stoneforge Mystic. Which will be able to attack into the first striking things. Flicker Wisp attacking in the air is going to create a pretty fast clock, though. So not entirely sure how this is going to play out. Yep. 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 That's pretty good, but I mean, it's a good card, but it's not particularly good here. We have black. Yeah, so we just want swamp should be fine. Actually, I think we'd rather have a mountain. Then let's just put this on here and attack. Of course, they're going to have another Flicker Wisp here. Assuming they flicker out the Stoneforge Mystic. No, they're just going to attack as normal. Maybe they're concerned about the Crux and they want to leave up Scavenger Grounds. See, this is surprising. Or maybe they're doing something else. I see. That makes more sense. Okay. Okay. Well, cannot escape my Crux of this turn. There's escape 5, right? Yeah, 5 other cards. I think it's probably just Cruxa from hand Gideon and make a 2/2. Should give me a life buffer if they want to attack it. Yeah, okay. I kind of don't expect to be able to escape these Cruxes because our opponent has the Scavenger Grounds, although they might. I feel like they need to keep the Scavenger Grounds. Our opponent's got to get a Thraben Inspector there. We can just get a Swamp here. Oh, that costs 1 more mana. Okay, never mind. That is Athalia. Okay. Never mind that then. We'll at least get a Batterskull back. So we have some block, unless our opponent has another Flicker Wisp. Unfortunately, I think what we might end up having to do is equipping the Batterskull with the Stoneforge Mystic and attacking. Because our opponent has this on a 2-turn clock with the 2 Flicker Wisps. And so I think we're going to need this life gain to be able to get through things, which means we're going to have to spend pretty much our entire turn equipping the Batterskull. Our opponent can also kill the Stoneforge by just gang blocking with everything. And they should have another Flicker Wisp. Okay, well, that's pretty bad. Okay, okay. Yep. Yep. Well, this is our best line, I think. Don't think it's really possible for us to do anything. Even if we draw a double removal spell, we can't play them both into Athalia. Yeah. I mean, we'll make our opponent make the attack. If they for some reason do something else, but yeah. You got it. Okay, so I think we're definitely going to want a Lightning Helix and a couple of Fatal Pushes here. Timely seems like it'll be pretty good. Anger seems very good. What do we not need? I don't think we need the Thought Seizers. We probably don't need the Inquisitions either, at least a couple of them. On the draw, I don't think we maybe take any. We might have some on the play to maybe snipe an Aether Vial. How do you feel about all this other stuff? This other stuff is probably pretty okay. So yeah, I think we can just cut the discard and be fine with that. I don't think we need any of this really. Batterskull felt like it should have been very good there. Our opponent just happened to have the triple Flicker Wisps to hold everything off. Again, this plane's awkward with the Croxa, but I think this is still pretty keepable. Go ahead and fetch out Triumph. This Triumph's really interesting in Modern. It's really easy to slot one into any appropriately colored deck and be able to have something to fetch out on turn one on most instances. We need to be hitting land, so I think we'll go ahead and play Dark Confidant. If it gets Path, that's fine. We'll still get our land back. Otherwise, we'll show you having a lot more chances to be drawing in land. Rest in peace. Okay. Not ideal, certainly, but take it. Fortunately, cannot cast Lily here. So I think we'll just cast the first half of Croxa, and that'll be fine. No, scratch that. We're casting Stoneforge Mystic. That's a much better line. And I think what we're going to want here is a sort of Fire and Ice. We've got 2 removal spells to clear the way for a sword, and swords should just be able to clean up a lot of things that our opponent could be doing. Opponent has a Stoneforge of their own, perhaps unsurprising. Opponent has chosen to get Batterskull. Okay. So if we get land, we can go ahead and equip the sword and attack, and Stoneforge will definitely die. I guess that's not necessarily true. I think we just go ahead with a bolt. We will put the sword in off the Stoneforge. Just attack with the Batterskull. We've got push and path for a germ token. I think we're pretty much in the driver's seat here. Knowing that our opponent is on the Stoneforges means we can probably bring in maybe like 2 pillage. Horizon Canopy. Is this just silent clearing number 5, or what is up with that? Okay, is this something I path? Can't push it. No, I'm just putting the sword in this turn is what I'm doing. Stoneforge Lily. Still can't cast the Lily. That is extremely awkward. I guess go ahead and Path of Flicker Wisp. Equip the sword and go attacking. Opponent might hit the Batterskull next turn, but that's fine. We'll be able to push the Germ. We really like to draw a land here. No such luck. We'll discard an uncastable Lily. Actually, maybe the Kroxa is better. We have 2 Lilies, so I think I can just get rid of one. Kroxa obviously very bad in the face of Rest in Peace, but it's still fine. Opponent can now actually play Batterskull with a mana up, or with a something up. Instead, they're going to play Leonin Relic Warder. Okay. Seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. Really like to be able to play a Liliana here. Maybe I'm actually playing Anger? There's no way that's right. Okay, well there's Liliana finally, although Seasoned Pyromancer could just be better. Stoneforge into Batterskull could just be better. I like Stoneforge into Batterskull. That sounds strong. Yeah, let's do Stoneforge into Batterskull. And we're going to have to discard a card here. I don't think I'm discarding with anything, attacking with anything here. I'm a little scared about Dark Confidant. But I don't think I need to be too scared. We'll activate this in response. It's possible this is just a line that our opponent is taking to be able to do something else to our Batterskull on our turn, which would be highly unfortunate. It's also definitely restricting our ability to do things with the Thalia. We'll see. I'm hoping to just be able to push a Germ token and get in with our Batterskull. But a lot of things could be happening here. Like that. Okay, how do we play this? I think we just Anger here. Reset the board. We will have an absolutely loaded hand. We are going to have equipments with nothing to do with them, but we can play a Seasoned Pyromancer. We can start doing things. Our opponent only has 2 cards. Even if they're creatures, we got removal for them. Like, yeah. This is fine. Cool. Yeah, so we've got 2 equipment and 7 cards to our opponent's 3. Plenty of removal. If our opponent plays a creature, we can timely. Sure. Actually, maybe we can't do that because our opponent could tap the silent clearing in response. We wouldn't gain 6 life. So maybe we don't want to do that. Opponent fetching a sword. I think the line we take actually is shock ourselves with Blood Crypt and play Timely and hold up Fatal Push. Very interesting that we have to do it that way to prevent our opponent from tapping the silent clearing, but that's how it'll go. And there can be a sword in play, but we'll push whatever they try to equip to. We can K-command the sword later. We're just outcarding our opponent at this point. Sure. Sure. That means we can push your Flicker Wisp. Now, equipping Sword to a soldier is interesting. They could have, like, a path. But I still have K-command up, so I think that's worth going for. I feel like I've got my opponent pretty well covered here, but it's hard to tell. That's fine, that can resolve. Putting the sword into play, interesting. Okay, well, I think we have to... We can just shoot our opponent and kill them with the Kolaghan's Command, actually. This is much better. Sure. We'll destroy this artifact, deal 2 damage to you. Interesting. That is the line you have. Well, I'm glad I blew up the Sword of Fire and Ice. Okay, well... Interesting. That's Batterskull. So I think I can just go red-black. And I can go black-red. Cool. Alright, I think I can bring in like a pair of pillage and A lot of stuff here seems pretty solid. I'm not sure what I want to take out. Yeah, don't even bring pillage in then. I have 2K commands. Yeah, I think we're fine. Actually, I'll bring them in over Cruxa. Since we know our opponent's rest in peace. Yeah, Cruxa is just a 2-mana sorcery, discard a card and take 3. It's pretty bad. Continuing to check my internet speed to see if we ever get our internet back to the point where we can turn the stream on, but it's not happening. Sand seems fine. Some removal. A Stoneforge for a threat. 0.23 megabytes down. No, it's worse than that. 0.12. What is this? What is this? Sorry. Back to the game. We're definitely not pushing the Thraben Inspector. We might possibly push whatever this is. Can't push that. So we'll just go ahead and get our Triome. Let you do your thing. I might hold off on playing the Stoneforge here in favor of, like, going for a turn 4 Anger. It's very greedy, but I could do it. I think I'd play out the Stoneforge. Maybe just that much. I think I can get the Batterskull here. I might still go for the turn 4 Anger and just kind of hold off on doing anything. Can hold up a push or a path for next turn. I can block this, that's fine. Don't think that's going to bite me at all. Don't know if our opponent is on Leonin Arbiter. I have not seen it yet, but it would make sense as a card that they're running. Blade Splicer, okay. Anger's very good here. Yeah, so we're just going to play this Mars Flats, have the Batterskull up, and also a removal spell. And then Anger next turn. Forge Tender is what we really don't want to see, but we still, even then we have a path for that, and that's fine. It's if they attack and if they attack, then that's what do we do? Because if we put the Batterskull into play, then we're not going to be able to play the path, and so if our opponent has Forge Tender, that's really bad. So I might actually just take it. Leonin Arbiter would also be bad. Overall, I think we're doing okay here. I say that a lot, and often we're not doing okay. Our opponent is going to Ghost Quarter their own land. Okay, so I think they're trying to set up a Flicker Wisp. That or, like, Revolt or something. I think they're just trying to set up a Flicker Wisp. Ranger Captain of Eos. Sacrifice Ranger Captain of Eos. Your opponents can't cast non-creature spells this turn. Okay, what are we searching for here? Burrenton Forge Tender, which you cannot cast. Do you attack into the Batterskull? No. Okay, so I think I have to path the Ranger Captain. Your opponents can't cast non-creature spells this turn. I could also push it instead, because I can sack my Marsh Flats. and push. Which would I rather have? I think I'd rather use the push now while I'm certain that it will work. And I have red, red, I have black, black. I guess I want to make sure I have white, white. So I'll get this. And push you. And I'll go to my turn. And anger. Cool, cool. We're now at 5 cards to our opponent's 3. Opponent has a Forge Tender. Sure. Sure. Cruxes are gone, so that's fine. This should just be a Bob and a Stoneforge. Could also just be a Batter Skull. I think this is better. Plays around like a random Leonian Relic Warder or some other crappy thing. Gives us card advantage. And the Dark Confidant should be good here. Sure, let's just put the sword into play. Let's go ahead and equip the sword. And start getting in there. You're up. Sure. Really need white mana that badly, huh? Okay. So, Flicker Wisp, Leonin Relic Warder. Okay. Fortunately, this template is the way that I don't want to kill it right now, but still fine, I think. Bolt that. See if they sack the Forge Tender. Sure. That's fine. Let's go ahead and push that. Equip this. Attack. We'll put the Batter Skull into play. Off the Stoneforge. You can hit a land. We can cast a Kologon's Command if we want. I think we're doing pretty alright here. Settle? Okay. Let's just fetch a Godless Shrine and Path. Nine, 10, 11. It's not quite lethal. I guess the Kologon's Command can make it lethal. Cool. Mardu up to 2-1. A loss to Scapeshift round 1, but taking down 8-rack and mono white taxes. I'm liking what we're seeing so far. Stoneforge seeming to be good in the shell. I'm liking it. It's difficult to evaluate in the moment just how much Stoneforge is contributing to our game plan. I think it's definitely speeding up the clock. I think it's also placing pressure on our opponent from different axes. So like our opponent was bringing in Leon and Relic Orders that were pretty much only for our Stoneforges. Whereas if we didn't have that package, maybe they would be having better cards against us in general. So I think there's something to be said for that. Like we've obviously been getting through with the swords quite a bit in these past few games and getting triggers and value off of them. It's just difficult to evaluate how important that is to the game. And I think it's been pretty good, but I can't say that with a high degree of confidence. Sand seems fine. Pick our opponent's hand apart. Have a Kroxa. Should be getting us to escape the Kroxa here pretty quickly. And Helix for opponents on a small creature game plan. Looks like that's perhaps not exactly what they're on. This could be Storm. This could be Prowess. Looks like it is Storm. Think that we're going to want to take the Manamorphose here. Go with that. I'm not entirely clear what the right line is. It could also have been the Pyretic Ritual. I think we'll save the Thoughtseize for a turn. So I think I'm actually going to play the Dark Confidant here. This could actually get remanded. So maybe I would rather Thoughtseize. Don't really want to just give my opponent good value off the remand. I guess it's just one of the rituals. I could also take the remand. We can take a ritual. Okay. Go ahead and pick up a Triome here. No, I think we should play the Dark Confidant. It's playing into the remand, but I don't think there's too much we can do here. Opponent with no land. That's a little scary. It means they're drawing business, and I think they've probably got about as much business as they need. Could just make them discard 2 cards. Don't really hate that. It's the Past in Flames. Red, black, Kroxa. Storm is a combo deck that just needs kind of a critical mass of things in their hand, so every single thing you make them get rid of is valuable. Is this just we're casting Gift and Given here? Okay. So you've got Repeal plus X. I've not played Storm in a little while, so I'm not sure if this is just lethal or not. It might just be lethal. Okay, well, I think I definitely just take all the mana. Like, because you have the Past and Flames in your graveyard. I mean, this is doing... But the Spirebluff Canal comes in tapped. Why are you choosing a Spirebluff Canal? That seems incorrect. I mean, if I give you rituals, you go 3, 4, 5... Like, I feel like this means your last card is a creature. In which case I should have left with the Lightning Helix. I think I just put the mana in the graveyard. You're still pitching a card off this. I guess the Spirebluff Canal is what you're going to pitch. That seems strange. You pitched a Manamorphose. No. You did pitch a Manamorphose. I don't really understand what's going on here. I feel like our opponent is making some very strange plays. This repeal is going to be able to repeal Akroxa. So maybe I actually don't want to cast the Akroxa. Instead, I guess I'll hold up Lightning Helix for a creature? This feels like a very strange line. Now I guess I play the Akroxa? I actually can't hold up Lightning Helix if I do that. This seems much better. Another Gifts Ungiven. Okay. I still think I put the mana in the graveyard. Grape Shot down. Go ahead. You can leave up Lightning Helix for a creature. Well, we're trying to do something here. I think a ritual gets you there, in theory. Now a ritual does not get you there. You had Past and Flame from hand. That's what you had. I guess I just cast this now. Yeah, I wonder if I could have sequenced anything better. I don't really feel like it. I think the only thing I could have done was if I could have tried to get a Kroxa in hand. I guess this means I really should. Well, no. Our opponent can just... Well, no, because they have to flash back the Grape Shot. At this point, though, no, they have it pretty easily. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Okay. Damping Sphere seems good. I don't think we need the Eliminate. Planeswalker could be okay. Ashiok will actually shut off gifts. Spellbomb seems fine. Ashiok also shuts down the graveyard. Okay, this is all looking good. Think I can cut some removal spells. I think I'll actually leave the paths in. They do give them a land, which is annoying. But so I think I would rather keep things that go face. So I'll keep the bolts and the helixes, but I think I can cut the pushes and the paths. And Damping Sphere is great, Spell Bomb is great, Ashiok is great. Maybe I cut a Chandra? I think that's okay. It's good you want some removal, but you don't want to overload on it. This hand seems solid. I don't think we care too much about our life total, so we can fetch a white-red land. Maybe a white-black, actually. Have some turn 1 graveyard hate, and some turn 2 storm hate. Actually, probably turn 2 will play the Kroxa, actually. One of these I think can get a mountain. Snipe a card from our opponent's hand. They will opt in response. Ritual down. Relevant to note that our opponent is discarding a ritual makes it more likely that they have extra rituals in hand. We can go ahead and just play Damping Sphere now. Sure. I guess that's fine. This actually took us off Lightning Helix. It could be kind of bad. Aria of Flame. Yeah, that's something that can be scary. Is an alternate win condition that Storming takes on sometimes. Can at least definitely slow down their casting of spells with a Damping Sphere. And we're a little ways off escaping this Kroxa. Pieces of the puzzle. Okay. Okay, I think I just want to exile your graveyard and get Kroxa back. Red, black, black, red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Opt, okay. Opponent could just Aria this for 3 and 4. It's definitely a little bit scary. We are going to have double Lightning Helix to gain some life. That's not going to gain us that much life in the face of this Aria. Definitely kind of worried here. Nope, they're going face with this. We actually have 12. Actually, we don't have 12 because the swamp doesn't cast Lightning Helix. think they're remembering that there's a damping sphere in play. Attack. Okay. I mean, the fewer lands they have, the fewer spells they can be casting into a damping sphere. I think I cast the Lightning Helix now. So that I won't be under damping sphere attacks next turn, although... Okay. Just casting this to 4 me. Makes sense. So 5, 6, 7 kills me, but I don't think you're casting 3 spells this turn. And you didn't cast anything there. Are you splicing? Cast Desperate Ritual, splicing Desperate Ritual. Oh dear. Does look like this might kill me. Yep. Yes, sirree. This swamp can't cast Lightning Helix. Alright. It's another one I kind of lost by the skin of my teeth. 2 and 2, unfortunately. I did admittedly take Collective Brutalities out of the sideboard of the deck list that I was given. Exchange for more Fatal Push Lightning Helix. I guess Collective Brutality would have been good there. Would have been the difference? Don't know. But that feels bad. I feel like we're pretty dang close to winning both of the games that we lost. And with slightly different decision making, maybe I could have gotten there. It's awkward because when in a Kroxa deck you don't really want to be fetching a land that doesn't cast Kroxa. But in that situation, the thing that was our undoing was the fact that we had a basic Swamp, which is a card that doesn't cast Lightning Helix. And so then you're almost saying you don't want a card that like doesn't tap for red, or at least black-white. I don't know. Like I feel like whenever we got that Swamp from, actually maybe we should draw the Swamp naturally. Maybe we didn't fetch it. I don't remember. But it's certainly plausible that if we had known that this was where the game was going to end up, that we could have fetched like a Sacred Foundry instead of the... Or fetched a Godless Shrine instead of the Swamp. This hand looks good. About as good as you can hope for. Trying to keep track if it's done raining so I know if I can open the window. Looks like there's still some possibility of rain in the next few hours. Okay, well, Inquisition not doing great here, but it is going to hit 1 card. We're up against Eldrazi Tron. I think I just play the Dark Confidant here. This does preclude the possibility of playing Lily on turn 3, or on playing Seasoned Pyromancer on turn 3, but I think it's okay because we will probably playing Lily on turn 3 anyway. We'll be very unhappy if we get hit by a Thought-Knot Seer here, especially since our opponent did not have one on turn 1. Instead, they are playing a Mind Stone. Sure, sure. Okay, we'll get in with Dark Confidant. This is going to want to get Sacred Foundry? No, needs to get black-red, needs to get a Blood Crypt. That was almost quite bad. Each discard, I think we can discard... Probably has to be the Batter Skull. As unfortunate as that is. Maybe the Lightning Helix was better. Actually not 1000% sure about that. Just figure Lightning Helix can be hitting like a Matter Reshaper, but I guess that's the only thing it's hitting. Could be hitting like a Karn after it downticks. Yeah, I don't know. Our opponent discarded a Blaststone, so I know they have a land to play. What are they doing here? I assume this is going to be the Karn. Yes, no, maybe? Yep, Karn. And what are we fetching? Could be an Ensnaring Bridge, could be some sort of value engine, could be a Pithing Needle for the Lily. They're thinking about it. I think they have to figure the Karn is probably not going to hang around, so they're probably not going to get something like a liquid metal coating. They could be getting like a relic or something if they just want to cycle. Could in theory be good against our Kroxa, but they don't necessarily know that we have Kroxa, but we are Mardu deck, so it is likely that we have Kroxa. Bridge is definitely something that would be annoying. I think Pithing Needle is probably just the most likely. And we definitely need to be concerned about the Solace Dust. Because we don't really have a good way around that. In fact, maybe that was a reason to keep the Batter Skull around. I mean, we're probably just going to end up discarding our hand to Seasoned Pyromancer anyway, so I doubt it makes that much of a difference. Opponent really taking their time here. Alright, opponent, let's go. They are getting the liquid metal coating. Kind of suggests to me they might have another Karn in hand. It's pretty interesting to me. Alright, we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to both discard. I think we're actually going to Helix down your Karn here. Discarding their Ugin, but keeping their All Is Dust. I think I just don't want this Karn. I mean, I could attack the Karn. I also just really don't want them sniping lands, so I think I just want to stop them from doing that. Now Liquid Metal in their hand looking pretty bad, really. Unless they have the Karn. Oh, right. Eldrazi Temple taps for all his dust, doesn't it? Forgot about that. Okay, well, that's a thing. Explains why they might have discarded the Ugin. Well, that's okay. We've still got stuff going on here. Would I rather deal 3 damage to you, or would I rather have a 1/1 in play? It's moot because I don't have triple red. Well, that's interesting. Tower. Battery Shaper? Yep. And a Liquid Metal Coating that does not very much. Let's draw another card. Sure. Ooh, I like that. This is unfortunate enough to shock myself. That's okay. Next turn I go Spyro for more elementals. Do I have a Seasoned Pyromancer in my graveyard right now? I do not. Could use a Kroxa, that would be nice. Close out the game pretty quickly. Oh, I do have more basics. Sure, I'll get a Swamp. One other thing I should think about is just keeping track of how good the different swords are, because I've been going back and forth on Sword of Fire and Ice, Sword of Feast and Famine, which one's better, whether I want both. So in this case, Sword of Feast and Famine trigger would be... Ooh, there's Tron for our opponent. But nothing to do with it yet. Yeah, Feast and Famine would be nice here. A trigger would be nice here because we'd be able to untap and cast another Seasoned Pyromancer. Still, like, it's hard to go wrong with a Fire and Ice trigger. Just drawing a card every turn. Every turn you're getting through. Okay. What's Expedition map get? Maybe Blast Zone? Maybe Seagate Wreckage? Maybe Scavenger Grounds? They do have a Seagate Wreckage. Okay. Still have a card in hand, though. Reality Smasher? Ulamog? Okay, sure. Sure. Alright, so this is a game now. This is very much a game. I think I would rather just attack with the Spyro, or rather just discard the Inquisition to the Spyro. See what the Reshaper drags in. Dismember. Now that I know they have a Dismember, do I want to Inquisition them? I mean, it mostly just forces them to spend it. Do I want to force them to spend it? I don't think it matters that much. And honestly, like, if they're casting it, they're taking 4, and I'm kind of okay with that. Sure, fine, I'll cast it anyway. Sure. See what you got. Not that it makes a difference. Reality Smasher. I guess that makes a little bit of a difference. I think I will shock myself just to equip this. I now have 2 Seasoned Pyromancers in the graveyard to flashback for elementals. 5/5 is actually going to be annoying on defense. Yeah, that Reality Smasher might stonewall me here. Could really use... I discarded my Batter Skull earlier. A Lily would be great. A Planeswalker would be great. Removal Spell would be great. Liquid Metal Coating's pretty annoying now. It's also going to make the sword really good, or really bad. Yeah, now my opponent also just has enough mana to get something pretty powerful here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 only? I mean, they can get a, it's the thing that destroys 1 land of every type. Set me back into the Stone Age. Although I still think they probably want to cast the Reality Smasher here, just to be on defense. Pretty surprised they don't do that. Unless they have something better they can get out of their Wishboard. Alright, well, we'll see. Walking Ballista. It seems pretty strong, but I think they should just probably play the Smasher on defense. Probably just hold off on the Ballista until next turn. I think just cast it for 2. Sure. Okay. Need something good here. That is not something good. Okay, I think I'm pretty much out of this game. Don't think I really have outs here. Sky Sovereign seems pretty good. Yep, that ping with Ballista. I'll just do this now. I have a bunch of 1/1s. It's like I could have held that around to try to ambush my opponent, but I'm giving them a little bit of credit. Not being able to put the sword on something is pretty annoying. Not that I was ever going to be able to do that to an elemental with a Walking Ballista in play. I don't know what we're casting here, like an Ugin? Just a bigger Walking Ballista. Is there a reason to do that now? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can just scoop things up. I'll give it another turn. Don't even know what we could draw here. Yeah, I don't even know. Lily's, like, not good. Okay. So, Eldrazi-tron. Damping Sphere is kind of okay here. Pillage is probably fine. I don't think bolts or pushes are doing that much. Inquisition definitely not doing much. Could bring in a Lightning Helix. Push, Inquisition, Anger not doing much. Ashiok. Yeah, that all seems mostly fine. Eliminate barely hits anything. Maybe I can bring in a Spell Bomb over that, just a cantrip. Is Timely good? Probably not. Like, Eliminate hits almost nothing. Push hits almost nothing. Anger hits a few things. Yeah, sure. Sure. This looks fine to me. Thoughtseize. Okay, so a map with 2 Urza lands. Chalice could be really good, but I think I can just kind of shut you off having Tron, and that'll be okay. It's also in 1. I didn't even keep that many 1-mana spells in. Took out Pushes and Inquisitions. This is gonna fetch white, red. This is gonna be a Stoneforge, which is gonna fetch, I think, a Batterskull. Mine, Chalice. Yeah. Yep, Chalice. That is fine. Spellbomb. Get a Blood Crypt here. Yes. Cast Lily. Tick up. Pitch a Bloodstained Mire. Opponent maybe discarding a redundant all his house. Nope, a wastes. Get in for 1. I do have a redundant Lily, but I suppose the chances of me wanting this Lily are not that high. Of course you just drew into Natural Tron. Okay, well, that's annoying. I guess this is what I kept the redundant Lily for. I still think I kind of want this Batterskull. So I think I just discard this Spellbomb, which is essentially a redraw. Opponent can use all his dust just as a Vindicate, essentially. Don't expect them to discard it in any event. Sure. You have 1 card in hand. Yeah, I mean, when your opponent just kind of lucks into drawing... Your opponent just kind of lucks into drawing Natural Tron after your Thoughtseize. Kind of not too much you can do. They did see the Lightning Helix, unfortunately. So they might just tick up here. Yep. Smart. I guess we'll hold the Lightning Helix. Okay. White, red. Then bolt the Thought-Knot-Seer to draw a card. Nope, it's gonna get countered. Of course, I'm bad. I mean, I don't think we're gonna get anything relevant done with that Lightning Helix anyway. Yeah, our opponent's answers just lined up well with ours. We couldn't get enough traction, and they're just casting more powerful cards than we are. That is unfortunate. Yep, think I'm good with that. Alright, so Mardu going just 2 and 3. I still feel like we got kind of unlucky in some of those matches. Felt like we were doing okay against Tron. They, of course, had to luck into drawing the last Tron piece after we thought seized away their map. I feel like we were doing okay against the Aeropile. I think we felt like we were doing well in all the places that you would expect a mid-range deck to do well. We did really well against the mono-white Taxes deck, just able to eat up the creatures. I felt like we should have been doing a lot better against Storm. We picked their hand apart pretty well. They were ultimately able to get there anyway. We're also really close in Game 3 when it was Damping Sphere versus Aria Flame. So I don't know. We only showed a 2-3 here, but I still think this... maybe not this deck exactly. Maybe we might tweak some things. Again, as I mentioned, kind of Liliana versus... Liliana when you tutor up a Batterskull is always a little bit awkward. I think there's still room to improve and innovate here, but I'm definitely not going to set this one aside the way I've set a few other Stoneforge decks aside. I think this deck shows some promise. Just need to figure out exactly where it is. Still really want to try to get some Lingering Souls in here. I think that's probably going to be one of the focuses of when I get around to testing in depth. It's going to be just evaluating how good Lingering Souls is. I think it's very good, but wiser minds than mine seem to disagree with me. So that is Mardu Midrange here for this episode of Stoneforge Trials. I hope you'll check back. We've got some more episodes coming up here soon. I hope you'll check me out on my stream, twitch.tv/rakkamar. Check me out on my YouTube channel, which is where you're watching this. Hope you'll subscribe and be notified anytime more Stoneforge Trials come out. Next week, Zendikar Rising is coming out, and I will be taking a bit of a break from the Stoneforge Trials to play quite a bit of Limited. I do play on Magic Arena, and I would like to be trying to 4x the Zendikar Rising set in preparation for the new standard. I've not played very much, if any, standard on this channel on YouTube or Twitch, but that might change if I can get a collection together. And I'll be definitely putting up some draft videos. I'm hoping to get those up very, very soon after the set launches on Arena, maybe even the same day. If not the same day, then definitely by the next day. But I will plan to be streaming that on my Twitch channel if my internet is cooperating by then. But I hope you'll check back for that. Until then, that is Mardu Midrange. Thanks for watching.